we're going to talk about bait tanks. Filling up your bait tank, preparing it for getting bait at the bait store. As you can see, my bait tank's already filled up, so you have to visualize a little bit. There's some key factors first in selecting a bait tank. One, you want it to be round with no corners in it, so the bait can swim naturally around. Bait will tend to gather in corners, use up all the oxygen in that corner and suffocate themselves. The other thing you want is a good filter system, primarily to remove scales and other fish waste. Scales are bad because scales will get in their gills and hurt their gills and kill your bait. But basically a filter system just consists of some type of filter material that filters out all the fish waste, mud from the water, scales, things like that. I use a coarser piece on top to catch all the heavy stuff. And then at the very top of what I call this a filter stack, basically what happens is the water comes up through the bottom of this filter stack, comes out of the top here, goes to this, which is a scale catcher, which removes all the heaviest particles, and then filters down through your filter material. If you're buying your bait at a bait store, most of the time it is already purged out. They've had it in captivity for a week or two, and most of the ammonia and other waste products are out of the fish. If you're catching your bait fresh, you typically would want to have charcoal and maybe zeolite somewhere in your filter stack to do some chemical filtering. Right now we're really just doing what's called mechanical filtering. But when you get to the bait store, the first thing you want to do is typically they'll have a hose. You just start filling up your bait tank. You would add salt. Salt is probably the most important ingredient. Use anywhere from 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup per 10 gallons. This is a 60-gallon tank, and I like to use a cup per 10 gallons, so I use 6 cups of salt. Depending on your bait store, they may have ammonia in the water, and chlorine in the water, so you might need to remove the chlorine. I use a product called Stress Coat to remove the chlorine. Some people use Bait Saver, which is a little blue chemical. You put in a half scoop or so. Get all your chemicals, your salt, your chlorine remover, water in, tank filled. You want to get the aeration started. You get some oxygen in the water before you put the bait in it. So really you want to prep your tank totally first, then put your bait in it. You need to get your water temp in the bait tank within 3 to 5 degrees of whatever the bait store's holding tank's temperature is. More than 5 degrees can shock the bait and kill it. If the water's too warm, you can add ice. If the water's too cold, there's not a whole lot you can do unless you happen to bring some boiled water you can stick in there. As I was mentioning earlier, you need to keep your bait tank temperature within 3 to 5 degrees of the bait store's temperature. And I just use a simple aquarium thermometer, 99 cents, get it at Walmart, Kmart, wherever. Keep track of the water temp. So that's a nice handy little tool. Something else you also want to get is some type of foam remover. As you can see, the bubbles will start forming in the tank. And after a while the whole tank will be covered in bubbles, so you need something to break the surface tension of the water. I use a product called Foam Off. Other people use coffee creamer. There's various things you can use. Foam Off is the easiest commercially available product to buy at a bait store.